Vispero Accessibility Moment. Accessibility made approachable, one moment at a time.
Picture this. You just finished building a shiny new web component, and someone taps you on the shoulder and asks you, how does this sound with the screen reader? Have you tested it yet with the screen reader? And suddenly you realize, I've never used a screen reader before. And if I'm being honest with myself, it's actually a bit intimidating to dive into that world. Well, the good news is it's not as scary as it sounds. Welcome to this episode of this Vispero's Accessibility Moment. My name is Brian Elton. I'm the practice manager of training here at Vispero. Today we're going to walk through a few of the basics of screen reader testing, so you get a good feel of some of the basic commands that you can use to simply test your new components or websites. First of all, what is a screen reader? Well, a screen reader is a piece of software that uses a speech synthesizer to announce the content of a website or an application. A screen reader may be used by someone who is blind and cannot see the computer screen, or someone with low vision that makes it difficult to see the content, or even someone that can see the screen but benefits from having the content read aloud as reinforcement. If the user is on a desktop or laptop, they can operate the screen reader through keyboard keystrokes or keystroke combinations. If they're on a mobile device, it's more likely that they would use swipe gestures to navigate around. In either case, as the user navigates, the screen reader announces the content from the underlying code of the application. So in the case of a website, it is reading the HTML code. So users can navigate line by line or element by element, or they can jump to different types of semantically coded elements. For example, pressing the down arrow key while using the JAWS screen reader with a website, it will move it to the next element in the HTML code.
Digital accessibility means creating websites, apps, and digital tools that everyone can use, including people with disabilities. It's about removing barriers so that all users. Example principle: clear. Descriptive headings make it easier for screen reader users to navigate content quickly.
And if I press the H key, JAWS will jump to the next heading.
Why accessibility matters, heading level 2.
One more time.
Common barriers and their impact, heading level 2.
And as you may have just heard, along with announcing the text content of the element, the screen reader also announces the type of element. So in this case, it's announcing that it is a heading and what level the heading is. If the element has any state or value information, that will also be announced. For instance, if I have a form text input that has already been filled out, it will announce the label, the type of element it is, and the value information. So with JAWS, I'm going to press the E key to jump down to the first edit field.
Full name: edit required, Brian Elton.
And it just said full name, edit required, Brian Elton. So full name is the label, and there is a visible label beside this form element. Edit, which is the type of field it is or type of element it is. Required, it is noting that it is a required form field, and that is also visually available with the asterisk beside full name. And then it announces the value, which is my name, Brian Elton. If an element has a state, such as a checkbox have it being checked, that will also be announced. So if I move to the next checkbox in this field or in this form, pressing the X key.
How did you hear about us? Left paren check all that apply, right paren group. Friends checkbox checked.
It announced first the group label. So how did you hear about us? Check all that apply and announced that it was a group. And then it got to the checkbox where it announced the label, which is friend, announced that it is a checkbox, so the type of element, and then the fact that it is checked. Because the screen reader only announces the text content of the underlying code, anything that is purely visual in nature will need to have a text alternative. Most commonly, this is with images. In HTML, image elements have an alt attribute that can provide that text alternative. When provided, this alternative text is what is announced when a screen reader encounters an image.
A Focus 40 refreshable Braille reader graphic.
So JAWS just announced a Focus 40 refreshable Braille reader graphic. Okay, now back to this testing business. In many cases, the only testing you may need to do with a screen reader is to step through the elements of a page or a component you're working on and listen to make sure the screen reader is announcing all of the element's relevant information. That could be the fact that it is a heading and what heading level it is. It could be having to do with the list. So the start of a list, how many list items there are, the end of a list, that all images have alternative text that is announced when reaching that image. And this can generally be done with just a couple of keystrokes. So as mentioned earlier, pressing the up or down arrow key in JAWS will cause the screen reader to announce the previous or next element, respectively. And you can listen to ensure the announcement is as expected. You'll also want to make sure that the interactive elements can be operated with a keyboard while the screen reader is running, such as pressing the Enter key to follow links, or pressing the Enter key or space bar to activate a button. Now, there is more to testing with a screen reader than I have described here, but this is a good start, and I encourage you to play around with it to get used to using one in all of your testing. For more information on the JAWS screen reader, including in-depth instruction manuals, please visit vispero.com.
Every digital experience, accessible to every person, everywhere. Vispero.com.